Have you sipped there, Cho? Hey, Airheads, toast to you. Welcome back. We're here in Airstream Studios. How was that?
It was good. It was a nice spot of tea.
Yeah, you didn't get the slurp on that time.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's okay.
Does that do anything? Is that like
slurping?
No, hold on.
I think if anything, it just puts more air in your mouth.
Well,
which don't hit. I think.
Well, no, but you know how like, sometimes when people drink wine, they do all that when they're tasting it, and like they put the water in the scotch, and that does a thing. I'm just curious if like
I don't think you need to aerate hard iced teas.
Yeah, well,
are you swishing it around and everything too?
Gotta let it breathe.
That's for like
letting it breathe. Look at the feet on these White Claws.
It's for the temperature. It cools it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
All right.
I just thought if fancy people slurped, it had to be for something. But do fancy people slurp?
I don't know if they slurp. You think they slurp?
They don't slurp.
I associate slurping with trash.
Yeah, they don't
slurp.
But
they sip.
But you know what I mean? When you see those people drinking wine, they'll like take a sip and then go.
Oh yeah.
Like they're trying.
Super pretentious.
Yeah, but they do
super pretentious.
They do all kinds of dumb shit like that, as we've covered on a previous
That's a good color
episode.
on you, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that
Being
color?
sarcastic?
No, I think you look good.
Pink?
Yeah, or
Coral?
salmon,
Salmon?
coral.
That's like that's brighter than salmon.
It's coral.
Coral?
Yeah, it's a good look for you.
Yeah. Pretty soon I have to change coral to be some kind of gray color because it's all dead.
Yeah.
You know
it's not. The reef's not doing well.
No, reefs. You ain't heard about the reefs?
Not
hitting.
Mm-mm. That's sad.
Imagine that.
Oil.
Everything.
Yeah.
Just the world don't
We just
hit.
can't have shit.
Planet don't hit no more. Anyway, but this episode will hit. I am hopeful. I'm Trae, and that's Corey. Today, let's say, here we go. Venn diagram, my topic, where the lives or interests of fancy people and trash people overlap. We're going to cover watching people fight. Who doesn't love it, right?
I mean, I'm a huge fan.
Watching two troglodytes just mush their brains up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great fun.
Yeah.
Good fun. So I'm going to talk about that. And then Pro Cho, that's Professor Cho.
Oh, yeah.
Pro Cho going to give us a history lesson on...
King Edward's abdication, Edward VIII, his abdication.
I can't wait to say what I think I know about that a little bit later, but we won't do that now. But first, just, little shooting the shit topic up top. You know about, the gram. We all know the gram. Instagram. Yeah, crackers.
I think immediately of graham crackers, which I had some on the plane yesterday, and I felt like such a child.
Where those stack up with you? You're a cracker eating some bitch, are you not? You love some crackers.
I do.
I love crackers too.
I mean, obviously, graham crackers, you got to be in a different mood, because if regular crackers, it's like we got to put meat and cheese on it. That's kind of like, it's a snack, but it can be almost a full meal. A graham cracker is like, unless we're making a s'more, I'm not really just going in and eating a graham cracker. I have.
They can also be hitting pie crust.
Oh boy, they're the hittingest pie crust.
Graham cracker
on a
crust.
cheesecake.
The best.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh my God. So on the plane when I was coming over here, they came around and asked everybody if they wanted snacks, and they were they were telling us all the snacks that they had or whatever, and the girl beside me got pistachios, the other guy got pretzels, and I was just like, ooh, I'll take the graham crackers. And both of them just kind of they just kind of go, huh. You want some milk too, you piece of shit? Yeah. And I did. You remember that time I got super furious on the plane because they didn't have milk?
In first class.
Yeah.
You're like, what kind of outfit is this? Can't even get some whole milk in first. What's the point of even being in first class if I can't get a glass of milk?
I mean, they serve cookies.
Yeah, and didn't...
don't serve cookies. Who the fuck
ain't gonna serve milk?
That's entrapment.
We live in a society, damn it. Yeah. Was that before or after that rich lady got pissed off at you
for playing my headphones too loud?
Yeah.
I don't. The timeline is fuzzy. But were you on that flight?
No, you just told me about all this.
Yeah, I didn't realize it, but I had my headphones blasting 2 Chainz, and I was passed out drunk, and she pulled the thing off of my ear and goes, "Are you serious right now?" And I was like, "What?" Because I just thought, your headphones are loud, but they on your ears. Nobody can hear this shit. But if you're blasting 2 Chainz with the bass effect on,
we haven't ever told on here the other story about you wearing your headphones at the airport, have we? You know the one I'm talking about? I don't think we have, so why don't you go ahead?
I'll never forget it. St. Louis Airport.
All right.
St. Louis Airport. I was either... It wouldn't have been a layover. St. Louis isn't a layover town. So we were leaving St. Louis, And we had done a weekend of shows at the Funny Bone, or is it Helium?
Helium. I
Helium.
think.
So, you know, after a weekend of shows, we've all got one brewing down here. And and I try to get it out before I leave the hotel, but sometimes it just ain't going to happen.
Yep.
So I get to the airport and I've got to take a fucking country shit.
Big country
a
shit.
big old country shit. And
That's much bigger than a city shit.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, unless I'm wrong, they don't have a Sky Lounge there.
Okay.
And I know that because if they did, I would have went to it.
Uh-huh.
Because one of my favorite things about the Sky Lounge is like it's a nice private bathroom.
Yeah.
With the full door, the door that goes all the way down, which I don't know why people just do that.
Do you think it's because is it
And the
supposed to?
hinge is like this, so people are just
so
sitting
they
there
can look
watching
in
me
there.
take a shit.
Do you think? I feel like that's one of those things you don't really think about until you do, and it's like, why are the doors only half doors? Do you think the logic is like, well, this way you can see if there's feet in there,
maybe.
But still, it don't hit not having a
Just
full
knock.
door.
Can we knock?
The stalls in the boys' bathrooms in my high school, none of them had any doors at all.
Yeah.
I guess because people's in there, smoking cigarettes and or meth or something.
Yeah.
And so they just took all the doors off our stalls. So if you was to poop, you just had to poop.
That was
publicly.
That was
Take a
how it
public
was in
poop.
our locker room, and it just I would be so nervous. I'd like try to wait to take a shit till I got home because I don't want to just shit in front of everybody, and I don't like. I always have a fear that like this is when I'm going to get recognized by a fan, and like. I also wear comically loud looking shoes. So like if somebody sees me, like I saw them under the stall and I heard him taking a big old country shit.
Yeah.
So I like my privacy, so I go into this bathroom and I'm just like, I'm about to have a panic attack because I have to take a shit and I'm having to do it in public and it don't hit for me. So in my mind, to calm myself, I'm like, I'm just going to put my headphones on, listen to some Jimmy Buffett and just calm my nerves and sit here and take a shit, right? So I'm just sitting there feet up, just really sweating like you've never seen a human being sweat before, sweating out all the alcohol, shitting out all the alcohol. And I'm just sitting there, mother, mother ocean, I have heard you call. And right as soon as I'm getting the last bit out there, I look up through sweat beads coming down my eyes. And the door, I had not locked it properly. Right. And it was wide open, and there was a man sitting there trying to rush his son away from the stall because his son was just sitting there staring at me while I'm fucking turtle heading, and he's just like, come on, come this way. But again, I've got the headphones on full blast. I never knew any of that.
Your eyes are closed.
Eyes are closed.
Because your whole thing is like, I got to take myself to another place and pretend that I'm not in public right now. So you close your eyes, blast the music, and unbeknownst to you, the door has been open
the whole time.
So you're just shitting in front of the rest of the bathroom.
Like I've got my feet up on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they could see my asshole probably. And just the whole time. And this is one of the, like, people had to walk past that to get to the urinals and stuff. So like everyone had just come by and was just like, is he listening to Jimmy Buffett? You know? So it was, that's exactly it. That's exactly it right there. Fucking Harry, what was Harry Dunn?
Yeah.
From Dumb and Dumber.
Is that the hittingest poop scene of all time, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unrivaled.
Right. So, all right. So anyway, Instagram, right?
The gram.
Yeah. You've been on about flexing, flex culture.
So that's when you like buy a new car and you post it on the gram.
Yes.
Yeah.
But did you know, and this isn't surprising, but I just want to see what you thought about it. Do you know there's a whole shitload of people on there who like fake flex?
Oh yeah.
In an effort to faking it till you make it.
Yeah,
but
Lil Bow Wow did that.
When?
Yeah, Bow Wow challenge.
Recently, like maybe a year or two ago, Bow Wow posted this picture of him on like beside a private jet or some shit like that, like about to head to blah, 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 blah. But someone had been at the airport that day and he was on a commercial flight. He had just done that.
Right.
Like he had taken a picture in front of a private jet and then just got on a regular flight. But like, and people were like, I was at the airport. We all know that you're Lil Bow Wow, you know.
Taking a picture from a private jet and then like just shambling over to Southwest
Delta,
and you know, boarding with Group C or whatever.
Like your millions of followers, one of them's not going to be on that fucking flight. I also know, and you might have been about to get into this, there's like people who will just like rent a private jet for a day just to do a photo shoot. Or,
you know, Porsches, cars and stuff like that. They'll rent them and, you know, take the pictures for the gram and imply that they own them or
it's
they.
So stupid.
I know, right? And it's just like, it's because they're trying to get into that work. Because, you know, that's a whole cottage industry.
Yeah.
Just hitting
and
on
fake
Instagram.
it till you make it is a thing.
Right.
It's kind of like stuffing your pants, though, right? Like, at some point.
Eventually, you're going to have to try to bang a chick.
You're poor as shit.
But see, their hope is that they will become one of those people who actually
Can
are
afford
influencers and actually make all that money. And so that what you're saying will never happen.
It's just an investment then in that case.
And for the record, I genuinely do understand the fake it till you make it concept. And I am not going to sit here and act like I'm not guilty of it at least a little bit. So, you know, act like you're, you know, dressed for the job you want, not the one you have. That I do that shit. Like, you know, in our career 5-6 years ago, I was definitely putting myself out there as if I was way more of a hotshot comedian than I actually was, because perception can often become reality. But renting a private jet just to take pictures is an insane step further than what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah, also, especially in just the ultimate goal of it. Like, you knew it, you're trying to get into the game at, like, be successful as a comedian. So you're just trying to act like, you know, act like you've been there before type of thing. Whereas trying to become, you know, the next shit hot Instagram influencer by renting a private jet, it just seems way more diluted and kind of sad to me. But also, I found in my very limited research on this, it seems like a very key element you must have before you even start to try to fake it till you make it is a real hitting butt.
Boy.
Because most of them at the tippy top, it's just like, yeah, there's jets and stuff in it,
but it's
also a butt. It's like, here's my butt in front of a jet.
Yep.
Here's my butt in front of a sunset.
Here's
my butt
lifting
in front of some Vietnamese poverty-stricken rice farmers.
Yeah.
You remember that one?
No.
That's a real thing. Some IG thought took a picture of her butt standing on a balcony overlooking this rice paddy in, I think, Vietnam, somewhere in Southeast Asia, with these poor rice farmers out there with their thing on. And the caption was something like, just reflecting upon how incredibly fortunate I am. So it's basically just like, look how, you know, just sitting here appreciating how much harder I hit than these poor peasant bastards out here. Like,
what bothers?
Imagine not hitting as much as that.
At least
imagine hitting as much as my butt. As much as my butt does. You see how much better that is?
What bothers me about those people and why it's a little bit different is that, like, there are people out there, and those are some of those people that, like, their goal in life is to be famous, but not for anything.
Oh, dude!
Like
this whole thing we're talking about is
that's what I'm saying. And like I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, like, I don't want to be a famous comedian. I do, but only because
you love doing comedy and you want to be respected as.
I want to be a great comedian. And if you're a great comedian, you'll be famous.
That's how I feel.
I want to be famous for my work.
Right.
I want my work to be good and for people to know for that. I don't have any interest in just being famous for the sake of being famous. That sounds shitty.
Yeah.
Like, you're just, people know you, but you don't give anything. Like, it's just your butt.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right. But it's like, they're just, you know, a lot of them are just basically like models, you know, like I'm saying, it's like, I'm sure there are some that are exceptions, but it's like, for a lot of them, it's just their butt hits.
Right.
By the way, this is the
Yep.
Yeah.
Thinking about how different my life is from the man picking the rice field every morning.
And they've put, what they've done there is they've put the caption
over
for some reason over the butt. I don't know if the people who made it, I don't know if their thought is like, you know what? Fuck her butt.
I bet a lot of people
think that for sure. But, you know, if they're like, if the idea is like, the whole point of this is her butt, well, let's cover her butt up to, you know. Anyway,
was that her actual caption, or was that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure
that seemed like a parody of what her caption was going to be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, let me look.
Dude, so many of these things. Again, I briefly looked at some of the hitness, like, influencer accounts we're getting on here, but it's literally just like
butts.
No, I think that really is what she.
It's either butts or it's just like you were saying, just famous but for nothing. It's like just such complete low effort nothingness, just like a picture of one of them standing in the street, and it's just like red light.
Yeah.
because she's standing under a red light.
Right. But the butt hits.
But her butt hits.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like, this, 250,000 likes. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Being in the street under a red light.
And
it's like, this just.
I guess if I want to back up.
I ain't trying to just be a hater. It's I'm an old millennial or whatever. And that whole thing is just. It just don't help.
I was about to say, let me back up for a second and go back on what I just said, because essentially what it is like, I want to be famous, which will get me a bunch of followers and likes, which means that companies will want to advertise with me, I will make money on that. I can't fault someone for being like, what I want to do as a job is to just have a butt and stand in a field, because like that's pretty sweet. You know
Definitely.
what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I take back what I said. Like it is weird, but like if you can do it, fucking that's America, baby.
Well, see, I'm kind of.
You know what it is like, it's everyone loves cats, right?
Right.
That's why cats are the hitness thing on the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you could be from a different political party or a different town or whatever,
Right.
but
Butts are the
everybody
cat
likes
of the
cats.
body.
Of people.
Everybody loves asses.
Yeah.
Right. No, when that's the thing.
Women
it's like,
love asses.
It bothers me also that there's so many people that just want to be famous but not for anything. But again, I think that with a lot of the ones that are famous, it's like, no, they're famous for their butt.
Right.
And having a hitting enough butt to be famous, that's been a thing for a long time.
It is. I mean,
you know
models,
what I mean? It's
swimsuit
just being
models
a
are thing.
supermodel,
Yeah,
really,
right.
but being self-made
And
butt
frankly,
person.
that butt right there is not an accident.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, you're blessed with. Some people are like, you have the possibility of have a hitting butt or not, but then you've got to work to maintain that hitting butt.
For sure.
Like,
yeah.
she's doing a lot of squats.
Mhm.
So, more squats than I do. So, yeah, more power to her. Now, but
Not as many squats as them rice
rice patty
peasants. Yeah.
motherfuckers do.
Their whole day's a squat.
Yeah, so
Nobody wants to see their butt.
fuck her, you
Yeah.
know, but the concept of it, like I follow a girl who I'm just now realizing is famous just for her butt. Her name's like Lilith Cavallari or something. She's an Italian chick. And buddy, I'm liking that shit every day, and I want her to keep going, and I want
the butt hits.
but so hard. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah,
see, there you go.
So I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Car Shield, who makes it easy and affordable to protect my car from expensive repairs. And that's just for starters. Car Shield is the #1 auto protection company in the U.S. and offers protection plans for around $100 a month. The plans cover more parts than ever before, whether your car has 5,000 miles or 150,000 miles.
Well, you can't beat that. Let us tell you how simple it is to get your car fixed. When you need a repair, you choose the mechanic, and Car Shield's administrators handle the rest. That's it. You can pick your boy out. Everybody's got a mechanic they trust. Well, you can use them with Car Shield. You don't have to deal with the paperwork or the headaches. Nobody likes none of that. You're taken care of with Car Shield. Same goes if your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road. Plans through Car Shield also include coast-to-coast roadside assistance. How about that?
That's pretty good stuff. Car Shield administrators are there for you with rental car options and trip reimbursement at no extra cost. Zero. So get coverage today, and you'll lock in your price now, and it will never go up. That means as long as you own your car, no matter how old it is, you're protected from the rising cost of parts and repairs for your vehicle.
Car Shield helps protect my wallet from expensive car repairs, and they'll do the same for you. Go to carshield.com/podcast to start your plan and lock in your pricing forever. That's carshield.com/podcast. A deductible may apply. And it is podcast. carshield.com/podcast. Check
There
them
you
out.
go. Do it. Skew.
Psst. Who's going to take care of your family if something happens to you? What would they do without your income? If you don't have a plan, you need to go to Goliathlife.com. Get a quick quote for more than 20 carriers. You don't even have to leave the house. If you need a medical exam, they'll send somebody to your house or office. You're in total control. You pick the rates, you pick the payments, you pick the terms. You're in total control, but it gives you and your family peace of mind. What if something happens to your income? Hurry to Goliathlife.com.
All right, hell, well, let's get into it. So, yes, watching people fight hits for both rich and poor, and always has. We'll get into the redneck part of it a little later, where that's all at as of now. But going back and starting out with rich people and how watching people fight hits for them, obviously I feel like the natural place to start. Gladiators.
Yeah, boy.
Gladiator, the ruling class in ancient Rome, the emperors and stuff, they would get some slaves and make them kill each other in front of everybody, which hit, and with swords and whatnot. And it was a good way for the emperor to, like, it was an event. You could, like, celebrate something with that, or just display the wealth and prosperity to the populace, commemorate military victories, welcome visiting dignitaries. You're like, we got that dude from Carthage coming in. You know what? Here for him, having these slaves fight in front of these lions.
Because they would do,
and
like,
see who dies.
He
loves that.
Their reenactments were like people actually died. Because they would do reenactments, like you bring up Carthage, for example, like they would, like one of their performances would be, we're doing the Battle of Carthage today. And so it would be like everything has to go down the way it went down, but they would really fucking stab and kill people.
Yeah, that was like the whole deal.
Yeah, but if you
they
really ever thought about, like, the same way that I know you're going to get into this, but like literally the same way that we would go watch boxing, these people used to leave their house and be like, we're going to see someone get fed to a lion today.
Yeah, bring the kids. We're going to be late,
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, it's wild, dude. Like, past is wild. We was something else, dude.
Yeah.
Just blood. They're just peasants out there fucking, Roman people of low birth, just, Roman trash up there in the stands of the Coliseum watching some dude trying not to get his throat ate by a tiger while another slave tries to stab him in his butt or whatever, and it's just fucking Roman trash up there just pulling their titties out and fucking frothing at the mouth.
Boogity, 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 boys!
Getting wild with it. And, but just like, so, we're going to talk about UFC and MMA and all that stuff a little bit later, but like, kind of like that. A lot of they weren't all slaves, but they were mostly slaves, and some of them were like POWs,
right?
Some of them were like disgraced.
That was
Romans.
Maximus, right? Like he was he was just there because he had been like
he was like a political casualty because he was a. Sorry, I got a fucking hair in my mouth, but anyway.
How hard does that movie still go, by the way?
Very hard. So you almost brought this up last night, and I told you to stop, so we'll just go ahead and get into it now because that's the point I was about to make. Is like kind of like the UFC fighters today. Like they were slaves and whatnot, but some of them, the ones that hit really hard, were also superstars. Yeah, they were like famous athletes. Kids had like action figures of the most popular gladiators. They were like big name shit, including, and this is what you were going to say, they got like sponsorships. Yep. They used to like
olive oil
companies. They used to sponsor. Yeah, they used to sponsor or be sponsored by, and what's the fucking, I'm drawing a blank. What's the word for when you
endorsement?
Endorse. Yes, thank you. They would endorse olive oil.
Write
or
this down. The first
wines.
time I've known a word that Trae didn't.
That's right. I knew it. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, right. Well, that's me with words.
I know. Anyway, they would endorse a specific type of olive oil or a wine or something like that, and it's like, fucking Gladius Dickus says, drink this wine.
That means the dick of the glades for everybody.
Gladius actually was that's the sword that they used, which is why they were called gladiators.
Oh, right on.
But anyway, and in fact, there was apparently a deleted scene from Gladiator where Maximus endorsed a certain type of olive oil, and it was going to be like basically on a billboard. Yeah, because they really did that.
Yeah, they cut it because they were like, people won't believe this.
And they cut it from the movie because they were like, people are going to think that's bullshit that we're making it up. So they cut it out, but it wasn't bullshit. They used to, like, they had the Roman equivalent of billboards that included the Hitness Gladiators endorsing a specific type of olive oil or whatever. And like, just like Conor McGregor with his fucking whiskey today, you know what I mean? And like, that shit's wild to think about.
It's super wild, but I got to tell you, I think Ridley Scott and them actually, in hindsight, made the right decision. Knowing that now, if I was to see that scene, I'd be like, okay, but not knowing that really would take me out of the movie. I agree. I would be like, wait, what the fuck? Because nobody knew that shit.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate that wasn't common knowledge because that would have been a cool, thing. Can you see that scene?
I don't know. You would think so. I thought most of the deleted scenes exist somewhere, but I'm not sure. I've never seen it. But so yeah, it starts with Gladiators then, but it's always been a thing, watching people fight, making them fight, you know, because like it's a good way to distract the populace from things that don't hit.
Right.
And in the past, a whole lot of things didn't hit, especially in the medieval era, right? Most things didn't hit back then, pretty famously. So they also made people fight a lot, but it was more like they had, you know, tournaments with jousting and single combat and stuff. But what was different about that, as opposed to most of the rest of history, is that like usually those guys, like we've all seen in Game of Thrones and stuff like that, those dudes also hit.
Right.
Which is why they usually didn't kill each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, we can't have them kill each other.
Right.
They're civilized.
Yeah,
you want somebody to kill them, get some slaves in there.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
slave versus a debtor
Yeah.
if you want somebody to be, you know, fighting to the death. But these guys, they can just, you know, stick
Fake
fight
it.
for a
Yeah,
while.
exactly.
But so, yeah, they would do it to, you know, win the fucking tournament and, you know, gain the favor of the liege lord and whatever else and bow before the maiden fair and fucking get a rose
and we
or
talked
whatever, and everybody's like, that hits.
We talked about that a little bit. We talked about that a little bit on the Knights episode.
We did when we watched them fight.
They would like literally, they would tour.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's such a wild concept to put it into like you just don't think about it like that. But those dudes were like, I mean, it's kind of similar to a comic in a way. Like they were an entertainer and they were on the road.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so bizarre how old that institution is.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so then it kind of evolved a little bit. They like at some point they realized what is this? Oh, all right.
New Nazi fighting movie?
This is just an ad. Okay, all right. I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, well, that made a lot of sense.
That's all right. We're going to see some more night fights.
Well, we had a
look at that.
We had I forget who it was. Shout out to the fan who recently just said they'd love to see you guys
Rustam Korshev
do some play-by-play for this sometime.
Sure, all right. Well, we could check it out.
Yeah,
see how it goes. I remember the last time we went. No, I mean, hell, let it ride. Go fast forward a little bit. Let's see.
In this corner, wearing chainmail and a metal helmet.
Look, here they go.
God
damn.
damn.
The last ones we watched was fucking brutal.
Well,
as hell.
This is the same. Look at
Is it the same
literally
one?
the same
same
clip.
place.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
it's
right.
different fight.
It literally
Look at
looks
this
like
place, too. It's
TNA's
like
TNA's
a mountain in the
wrestling
back.
ring. Dude, he
Has
just
TNA,
took it.
has pro wrestling ever had a night character? It seems like they would
You
have
know,
at some point.
You'd
but I
think
can't
they
remember
would, but
one.
I can't remember one. It was probably, not long last. There's no way that they have not. Like, back in the box of gimmicks 90s days, like, they all had some insane character. I mean, goddamn, before Kane was Kane, he was... his name was Ivan Yankum.
He was a dentist. He was a dentist.
He was a
Yeah.
dentist.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I
there
mean,
we
you
go.
know, dentists don't hit for people.
Sweep the leg,
See,
Johnny.
Do you think it hits for them to say "have at you," or is it like hack and insulting? Like, are they all saying "have at you," or is it like it's understood, like an unspoken rule?
We're
amongst
going to
them?
have at each other.
Yeah, and no one says it's like, listen, dude, we all want to say "have at you,"
Right.
Okay, but we can't just both be out here screaming "have at you" all the time,
Right.
So nobody says it, and it's just unwritten
And
rule,
that's
and everybody
unfortunate
knows it.
because I like it.
I like "have at you" too. I mean,
I
what else
also
you
wish
supposed
that
to
all
say?
these would start off with them pulling a glove off, slapping them in the face, and go, "I challenge you to a duel."
Right, for sure. And do you think they're like calling them foul knaves and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Like, are they trash talking in character and shit?
Probably. Also, do you think?
But these two dudes, they both had like Eastern European names, so that's like, you know.
Also, is this a work? Like, they're really beating the shit out of each other, but do you think that they're calling their shots?
I have no idea.
It doesn't look like
dude.
it.
I mean,
you know, like,
this don't look as like.
This don't look as intense. The other one, that dude literally sent that guy to the hospital.
Yeah, that was fucking wild.
I think this is more like here's
like,
a bunch of money if you can knock the other guy out, kind of.
Oh, while we're on this, speaking of calling your shots, because obviously wrestlers in the ring, they call their shots to each other. And
Yeah,
shit.
right, yeah.
Did you know that that's where Snoop Dogg got his language?
What?
You know how Snoop Dogg is like, I'm the Snoop Dizzle, D-O double jizzle?
Yeah.
That's Carnie speak. And that came from wrestlers. Yes.
So how does it work in Carnie? What is it supposed to be like code to regular
it's like
people
pig
would
Latin.
understand?
Like I'm gonna hit you with scissuplex, you know, like so that I swear, I'm serious.
I believe you,
I'm
but
serious.
I feel like I could put that together.
But
if I
you can now because you know what Snoop, you know that
you
language.
don't think if you heard somebody say
I'm not
scissuplex,
I'm not saying they would literally say sizz. I'm not saying they would literally.
Suplex.
I'm just saying they're speaking in such a wild way that that the audience just hears gibberish. Back then they would just hear gibberish, like you know, is arm bar.
I'm gonna hit you with a pizzour bomb.
Yeah, but but back in the days when they started this, they didn't have power bombs. Like it was just arm holds and stuff like that.
So it'd be like arm bizzle,
yeah, or something like that. But
I mean, I could see.
So to the audience, they're just hearing a bunch of izzle dizzle dizzle shit, and they don't know, like they're not smartened up to it. So it was a way for them to communicate in the ring and call their own shots. It's called Carnie speak, and that's where.
But do you know that makes it sound like it came from carnies first before it got to wrestlers? Do you know how carnies were using it?
Same way, I guess. But I mean, they just call like wrestlers are just called carnies.
Okay,
like that's just like back in those days. It's an offensive term to wrestlers now.
Carnies,
but like because it's like now it's like if you're a hack wrestler like this fucking Carnie. You know what I'm saying? But like back then it was like, no, we're all carnies. And so
I like carnies may be an offensive term to pretty much everybody.
Like,
nobody wants to be called a carny, I think.
I'd say there's some dudes who are carnies like, you're goddamn right, I'm a carny.
My daddy was a carny, his daddy was a carny, and my fucking boy's going to be a goddamn carny. He's going to be, you know.
I'm sure we'll get some emails from carnies saying that we're...
I met some carnies one time, and they tried to take me on the road with them to be a carny. I was, because I didn't have a house at the time.
I could see that happening for you.
I almost, like, they had me...
You definitely, I could see you being a run off and join the circus type of motherfucker.
We were trying to make our way back home, and we didn't have no money and stuff, and they were like, well, I mean... If you're trying to make your way back somewhere, there's no better business than the carnival. Like we'll end up going there. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there and I go, damn, that's right, man.
Eventually.
And so they were like, yeah, dude.
All you gotta do is just clean up some elephant poop.
Yeah,
for a while.
They were like, this dude literally asked me, he goes, you think you could fix a tilt-a-whirl? And I was like,
what?
I was like, I don't know.
Dude,
and he goes, oh, ain't nothing to it. And it was at that moment I was like, I'm never getting on a fucking tilt-a-whirl again.
That's the type of thing that people think is going on.
It's so true.
So knowing that it's like that is so that the fact that a carny just finds some brand new guy he's never met before, some 19-year-old or whatever, is like, you think you could fix a tilt-a-whirl. And you know there's some meth heads out there about, hell yeah, I'll fix a tilt-a-whirl. And then that guy gets to fix the tilt-a-whirl. And like he ain't go to fucking tilt-a-whirl school. He don't know shit about fixing tilt-a-whirl.
So you buried the lead a little bit there. I was literally considering it. I was like, man, if they're gonna go back that way, like I could hang out, I could do that, I could have a job, and like it'll be fun with these guys. I'm at a fair every fucking day, and then we'll eventually get back to Nashville. And then
did you guys see Nightmare Alley, by the way?
Yeah.
Like that, like
He'll Geek.
Yeah.
He'll Geek now.
The origin of the Geek.
I would have been the Geek.
You're the Geek, yeah.
But the reason that I didn't is because this guy's...
we just fry it first.
This guy's...
I'll eat its head if it's fried. That's fine.
This guy's pitching me this shit, and I'm into it. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then in the middle of the bar, he started smoking crack.
Also in the middle of his like recruitment pitch.
He's just like,
so standing in a bar while recruiting a new potential employee, he smokes crack.
Yeah, and I was like, and we hung out with him the rest of the night.
That is some carny shit.
Yeah, and we hung out with him the
buddy.
rest of the night because you don't want, like, in my opinion, if somebody starts smoking crack, you don't want to immediately leave because then they're going to be offended.
You're right. They're going to be like, oh, what?
Because
this don't hit for you?
Yeah, what?
Just because I smoke crack in public, you thought you're too good for me now?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You think you're better than me?
So,
just because you're not smoking crack in public? Okay.
We hung out with him and got fucked up drinking Black Velvet whiskey for another hour, and then me and Jesse just kind of like went outside to smoke a cigarette, and which is funny that we went outside to smoke a cigarette while he's smoking crack openly in a bar. We need some fresh air.
Right.
So yeah, I almost joined the circus. But
nothing has ever checked out more, except for maybe if you had actually joined the circus.
So I don't know how they all go, but this guy literally said to me, do you think you could fix a tilt-a-whirl?
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, that sounds made up, like a scene,
a show. Yeah.
A scene from a comedy where that happens to a character.
Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible. All right, so okay, let's get before I get doing too much here. What? Sorry. Okay. So
that was going to be the original title of the podcast. Was blah what?
I had to find my place, so I lost it for a minute. What's next? Yeah. So like I was saying, it went from medieval England, and it was aristocrats fighting each other and whatnot. And then I guess at some point they realized you're like, no, watching people fire hits, but like being fit don't hit necessarily. Like, we don't have to smush each other's brains.
You say being fit?
Being fit, like
being fault.
Being fault.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Fit,
I got it, and I really liked
they
it.
Fit.
Yeah. They
Oh
fit.
God.
They fit each other.
They fit. They fit down there in the field or whatever. You know,
Getting fit don't hit.
No,
Oh my God.
no, and the literal interpretation of that's true too.
Yeah,
It's
right.
hard-
No,
it's
it don't
too
hit.
hard to do, and it don't hit anyway. So they decided it would hit more if other people fit instead of us. We should go back to that. That's how the Gladiators used to do it, right? So then it circles back to, so in the 19th century, pugilism becomes a very big thing.
That's one of my
in
favorite
England.
words.
Yeah, it's great. Pugilists was just bare-knuckle boxers, right? But they were doing it like aristocrats would have big like they'd have mummy unwrapping parties, right? They'd have like peasant brutalization parties.
Yeah.
You know, come over here and watch these
Bone
two
fights.
Watch these two filth mongers beat each other to a fucking pulp, you know, and they're like, that sounds delightful, you know, and they'd all
Do they
fucking
stink?
Yeah, you know it. Do they?
Boy, do they?
Do they? Do they ever?
That's a right stinker here.
You not believe how much they stink. Most potent stink you ever smelt, that is. So
This one's going to beat the stink out of him.
yeah, so they'd line up.
God.
They'd line up two stanks in a parlor, right? In a parlor, and they'd make it like we're hitting, but these dudes like they became
stink.
yes, very much so. But no, it wasn't like bum fights. These guys were
Right.
like. They were the boxers of their day, you know. And what always hit the most for me about them, and we did this in a couple of earlier episodes, but the way they posed on their post, you will go.
Got this one right here. Got this one right here. Huh?
Anyway, that always hit for me.
I love it. Why did they, like, nobody does that now, but every boxer back then did this.
They was dumb back then. They was dumb about stuff.
They were.
So, pugilism was a big thing amongst the upper crust. It was working class people fighting for the entertainment of the upper crust. Do you want to take a guess at the origin of some of the hittingest pugilists of the era?
What era?
This
time?
is 19th century England. So the 1800s.
The origin of the fighters. Okay.
Some of the most hittingest fighters shared
right.
a similar origin story. What do you think it might have been?
They all worked at the docks.
No, it's way more fucked up than that.
They
a lot of them were former mandingos.
Oh.
Yes. Former American slaves who learned to box by being forced to fight their slave cousin or brother
In
for
front
the,
of Leonardo
for the pleasure of
DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah,
Yeah.
the plantation owner. That was a real thing.
Oh,
And-
yeah. I mean, I figured it was.
Yeah, and some of those guys, I guess, you know, somehow
Imagine
got
if
out after the
Tarantino
slaves
had
were
just
free.
made that up.
Right, yeah. And then they made their way to England and became like some of the best pugilists they
Yeah.
had over there.
I guarantee.
So, you know, that's a fun fact. But, well, it's a, you know, I don't know how fun the fact is, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was fun for that guy.
I saw a
That's
list
about
one
it.
time that said fun facts about Hitler.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's like, oh, we're having a blast. This is a fucking yarn right here.
Okay, so anyway, and then, you know, that turned into boxing, which for a while had a real heyday and was a huge thing. And it's like, and now we got MMA, and it's like, rich people still go to these fights, but it's not like
Yeah, they're in the
held
front row.
for the favor of
Right.
the ruling class or anything. It's just like
Yeah.
rich people and anybody who's anybody will be at a title fight
DJ
just to
Khaled.
be seen
Yeah.
at the fight. So like
Yeah.
rich people are still fucking with it, but obviously it's
Well, and they do
huge.
hit.
It's huge amongst regular people. So I saw this shower thought on Reddit that it's one of those that I thought sounded
Oh, I love that.
subreddit. I
Yeah.
thought it sounded good at first, but I feel like it's not really true. But so the shower thought says, rich people used to watch poor people fight in arenas. Now poor people watch rich people fight in arenas.
I mean, that is
Right?
true. But,
But
there's
it's
still
like-
rich people there.
It's
But
actually, and it's actually kind of like, it's kind of always been sort of the way that it is
Right.
now. Meaning, like I said, those gladiators, some
Yeah.
of them were like, hot shit and made a lot of money and everything. And some of these pugilists did too. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's,
I think the majority of fighters are still vastly underpaid. From what I hear, like the stars, the stars. That's the thing. The stars clearly are very
so that's
rich,
another way in which
but the people
false.
in the crowd, I think, mostly are richer, than a lot of the fighters.
Sure.
Yeah,
so
there's
another way.
There's definitely some UFC fighters that I've seen them fight, and I probably, on average, make more money than them.
Right. So,
and I don't make a lot of money.
But but nowadays, and I feel like, just white trash rednecks and stuff, they're fucking all about this stuff, ain't they? You're down there in Chickamauga. Y'all get together and watch them all the time, don't you?
All the fucking time. Like, it's funny, I told you, like, I never considered myself a UFC fan, even though I watched it all the fucking time, because I was like, yeah, well, my buddy Robbie will have it, and yeah, I'll go watch it if Robbie has it on. And then I'm like, and you've done that 15 times a year for the past 6 years, and you get super hype into it, so, like, you're a fan of this. In my mind, because I think it's barbaric as shit.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, I have a real, there's a real fucking schism. Is that when something's split into?
I mean, that's,
You saying boxing too? Combat
I
sports?
fucking love, dude, Tyson, the Gypsy King, which I can say it because it's his thing. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time. I fucking love, and I saw all the Fury Wilder fights. Like, I fucking love them. But at first, in my mind, I was always somehow watching it ironically. I had put myself up on this, like, superior pedestal, like, well, it's not right, but if it's on and my buddy Robbie paid for it, I'll watch it. But, like, I would sit there and in my mind be like, how brutal is this? This should not be. Oh, shit! Knock that motherfucker out!
Well, because that's the thing. At the end of the day, most dudes, especially rednecks, white trash, whatever, it's just, it hits to watch somebody get their ass whooped.
And they're willingly doing it.
If two dudes are about to whoop each other's ass, a crowd's going to gather and start saying, whoop his ass.
And, dude, no, I love it so much. And my favorite thing, my buddy Robbie, like, he's super, like, he is way more into it. He just knows, like, I know the people in front of me. Rob knows all of them, and, like, he's the one that's telling me about, this guy did this, and this guy's the blah, 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 blah. Rob literally, he scores the fight while we're watching it. Like, he can tell you, like, he's like, well, it's 10-8. Yes, and he's fucking right every fucking time. So I've learned a lot from him, but my favorite thing about it is usually the post-match interviews because, and it's so insane, they will show a dude get his head kicked in for 30 minutes, and then as soon as it's over, put a microphone in front of his face, and then be confused that he says some shit that is not necessarily politically correct. And it's like that Burr bit about Phil Robertson. It's like, what did you think they thought?
Yeah, right.
Like, the guy who gets kicked in the brain for a living may not have the
most
best
nuanced
opinions on the geopolitical system of Israel, you know? But I love that shit. Like, they're all out of breath and they're just sitting there talking trash. Like, my favorite one ever was, like, I'm sure you saw it when Brock Lesnar, it was UFC 200. They were like, Brock, what are you going to do after the fight? He's like, well, first off, I'm going to drink me a Coors Light because Bud Light ain't paying me shit. And then I'm going to get on top of my wife.
The ring had a big Bud Light thing in the middle of it because Bud Light had sponsored it.
And
he's like, I'm drinking Coors Light because Bud Light don't pay me shit.
Yeah.
And that did not hit for Dana White.
No, or any of them. But it's like, you're putting a microphone in front of a dude who, he don't even know where he's at right now. With adrenaline and with, like, literal death blows. Like, I love it, man. Especially because, like, Dana White, and with Brock Lesnar being the catalyst of all this, being a WWE guy and a UFC guy, when that happened, those two worlds kind of merged. And, like, UFC has gotten way bigger on, like, well, hey, listen, the WWE is popular because they're personalities. It's not real fighting, but we've got to do some of that in here. And because of that, like, all these dudes are, like, incentivized to cut promos and stuff. Right. And so it's like everything I like about professional wrestling, except for they're literally getting their fucking noses broken. I love it so much. Again, it's horrible. It should not be, but go Dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's at least they ain't got swords no more.
And they're willingly doing it. They signed up for it. Like,
football. Football, same thing. Everybody knows your brain's turning to mush, but we still love it.
With the CTE shit in football, I feel the same way, but I'm going to keep watching it.
I'm still going to use an iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Some stuff just hits.
Some stuff does just hit. Well, I feel like we better move on. I didn't have no other big things about fighting, or watching people fight. So with that said, right after this, we're going to get into a history Professor Cho on the abdication of King Edward VIII.
That is true. That is, I wanted to say true and correct, so I almost said that's correct.
Yeah,
so that is correct. And we'll be right back right after this.
Guys, it is summer. It's time to bring that summer heat into the bedroom, and the temperatures ain't the only thing that's going to be rising this summer. Talking about your wiener, and that's right. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Confidence can take you far in life. It can also help you in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to step up to the plate. And by plate, I mean the crotchal region of the person you love. Trae, tell them about Blue Chew.
Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises, a wiener opportunity, that is. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part about it, it's all done on the internet there. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at the pharmacy where you might bump into somebody from high school or work or what have you. Blue Chew's tablets are made right here in the U.S. of A., prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. That's another wiener pun.
Yeah, nice. I like it. I've been using Blue Chew for a long time. I don't think that my wife would let me stop using Blue Chew because it's not like my wiener didn't hit. It's just that with Blue Chew, my wiener hits harder. It's almost as if, Trae, I've got a brand new dick, and we've got a special deal for our listeners so you can get you a brand new dick. Try Blue Chew for free when you use the promo code POA at checkout. All you got to do is pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code POA to receive your first month for free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast and getting us a brand new wiener.
Y'all, I got to tell you, our next podcast partner has a product that I use literally every day. I love it. I started taking AG1 from Athletic Greens because, if you've been following me for a while, you probably know my belly stay wrong. My guts don't hit. It's an ongoing thing. I feel like my gut health has always left a lot to be desired, and that's no fun walking around today with your belly being wrong, gut not hitting. I don't know what my bacteria is doing in there, but they ain't doing the right stuff. They're doing the bad stuff instead. And Athletic Greens is super helpful in that scenario. Get your gut health in line, get your belly right instead of having your belly wrong. I got Athletic Greens for the first time like 6 weeks ago probably, and I love it. It looks, it's a little green shake. It looks like it might taste kind of earthy, and you don't know what you're in for, but it actually tastes pretty good. It's got a mild tropical taste, and I look forward to it every morning. I start my day with it. What about you, Cho?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, especially for dudes like us who, we don't really have a schedule. I can't, we're constantly on the go and stuff, and maybe I don't have time to sit down and eat all my vegetables. This stuff is good. And if you're wondering what this stuff is, well, with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens, which I just learned, to help you start your day right. It's a special blend of ingredients that supports your gut health, nervous system, immune system, your energy recovery, focus, and all those things. And as Trae said, it tastes like a smoothie. It's really good. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy free, or gluten free. And tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. Another great thing, it costs you less than $3 a day. So you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplement routine to cover. It cost him $100 a day. This is less than $3. So right now it's time to reclaim your health, arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills. Trae, tell them what they need to do.
Well, to make it easy on you, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is visit athleticgreens.com/POA. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/POA to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. We thank them for sponsoring the podcast.
Are you feeling stuck making minimum payments on your credit card debt? SaveWithConrad.com can help, and you don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket to do this. NMLS number 65084, equal housing lender. Oh, and did I mention no house payments for 2 months? Get rid of your credit card debt and lower your monthly payments right now at SaveWithConrad.com.
All right, let's do it. History with Professor Cho.
Pro Cho,
baby. Pro Cho talk on the abdication of King Edward VIII. What I think I know about it already. You know, I've seen some television programs that covered it, I think, and he the one that gave up the crown for the heart of an American floozy.
That is exactly it.
Right. Which has always been wild to me. And it's like, boy, she must have really been breaking it off or something, I guess.
Right.
I don't
Harry has done it kind of like that.
Yes, he has, but he ain't the king.
No, but he's abdicated from the family because of it.
But I still feel like
it's different.
He's whatever third in line or something,
or
fourth, because the
son,
the baby is
Charles,
before him.
Yeah,
right?
it's Charles and then William and then his son
baby
Charles,
George.
baby George.
Yeah, and then so Harry'd be fourth.
Yeah,
that ain't the same thing as walking away from the literal crown.
Of course it's not.
Especially for a woman. Yeah. An American woman.
Yeah.
We don't even hit.
No, we don't. No, we don't hit.
No, but so I'm looking forward to hearing like the sort of ins and outs of that because that's really all I know. I'm sure some of the details will probably ring a bell, but I've always thought that was wild as shit. So, yeah, take it away.
Yeah, so Edward was a super popular member of the royal family, which, like, their whole, like, the Windsors have been different than a lot of, like, most of them have been in decent favor. None of them are fucking tyrants, you know what I'm saying? None of them are doing any Henry VIII shit, but he was a super charismatic dude, and of course, he was, he was going to be, he's the heir apparent. He's going to be the king. Everybody knows it. He was in the Great War, for the record.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't on the front lines, but he was in the war, and so because of that, there you go, look at that guy. Because of that, I mean, I feel like if you're a royal, people are going to think about you a certain way, but if you actually go to the war and fight, like, I got to go, well, I mean, hell, you did a thing. Like, what else am I supposed to think about you? You served your country in that way. That was
don't they make them all serve in the military?
They all serve
like,
in the
even
military.
Like Queen Elizabeth, didn't she go to World War II and like drive a bus around a base or something?
Yeah, but I think he actually like
fit.
He fit. I think he actually fit.
Surely he did.
They all. I mean, I'm sure he had,
fit.
I'm pretty sure he. Like, my point is, he was at the war.
Yeah, he was at the war.
Harry
he wasn't behind the war or adjacent to the war. He was down there at the war there.
Yeah, like Harry and William both served in the military, but just like not at a war. Like they just went through training and they did their ambassadorship stuff.
Wouldn't at least one of them been around during like neither one of them ever went to like Iraq or
9/11 stuff?
9/11 stuff.
Harry might have done some 9/11 stuff.
They came to war with us down there at that war.
Yeah.
In Iraq, remember that war?
They might have went to that war.
They might have been at that war.
They didn't fit.
No, didn't fit. I thought one of them was a pilot or something. I don't know.
Their daddy their granddaddy, he was a navalman, right? Mountbatten was like a naval guy.
So maybe he got exploded on a boat. Didn't
he did, but then I'm talking about Prince Philip.
All over the place.
He did get exploded on a boat.
Oh,
but Prince Philip was a navalman, so maybe they were like doing some Navy stuff. He was very good about going.
Prince Philip probably thought that airplanes are for the Japanese.
What, so we're going to fly us into a
we
building?
Are naval people in Britain, civilized people of the sea. Now it's like those flying rats they've got in other countries. You know how he was.
Yes, I do.
That ain't me. That's just him. I'm quoting him.
That's a great interpretation. He was really good about he went like all their colonies. He had a really good presence there. Like he was constantly going on the tours and shaking hands and kissing the babies and stuff. Like I said, he fought in the war, so people really liked him. But a lot of people really, including Edward, for the record, doubted that he had what it took to be king, even before he abdicated, because he was just such a free-spirited guy. Like, he didn't like we were talking about in the last episode of, like, you know, at the end of the day, yes, they're different. We don't have to feel sorry for them, but, like, they are human beings, and they have things that they like to do, and the crown sort of restricts you on that. And it's like, I didn't ask for this. I was just born in this family. He was a free-spirited guy. Like, he was hardly ever at the palace. Like, even when, like, it's like, he's about to be the king, he would hang out at this place, Fort Belvedere, which is like his country house, and he would never be at the palace. And everybody's like, what are you doing? Like, you got to be at the palace. Like, you have duties. And he was like, I don't want to. I would rather be here with my American whore.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, it's his Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. So it is his Mar-a-Lago. In 31, he's over at some friend's house, and he meets this lady named Wallace Simpson. Pretty shit name for a woman.
Terrible name.
Awful.
Dude. Yeah.
She's an American, and she's recently divorced from a Navy pilot.
Wallace Simpson sounds like the Wire character.
Yes, it does. yes, the detective that like plants
not a fucking
plants crack on Marlowe or something.
Not a fucking early 20th century debutante or whatever the hell she was.
So she's not only an American, she's recently divorced.
That ain't it.
Recently divorced and already living with another Navy pilot in London. Gets married to him, so she's divorced and has a new husband. Yeah,
sullied.
Who was
sullied woman of ill repute? This is.
I need to ask you what you think this means. He was a maritime broker. What do you think that means?
He did water business.
He sold boats, right? Like, that's what I have here is sold boats? Question mark. I didn't want to investigate any further. I just saw I was like, maritime broker sounds like what a dude who sells boats would try to tell people when he's meeting a royal family. I'm a maritime broker.
Did y'all ever do anything like that? We used to do that on purpose as
Sell boats?
A joke. No, me and my buddies would do that with our job. Like, I remember Thompson, we would do it and tell it to other people and see if they could guess what the actual job was. Like, I remember Thompson's was, I'm an aquatic petroleum distribution engineer. And it's like, oh, so you pump gas at a boat dock.
Yeah.
Right? Like shit like that.
My sister.
We used to make a game of that.
My sister's first joke. My sister's so funny. You know this.
Yeah.
I was 13, so Kirby was 10 and a half or 11 at this time. And we go through the drive-thru of Chick-fil-A. And we're in the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A, and the guy taking our order was I remember him just being a really handsome, dude. And I was telling my mom, I was like, you know how, like, I was like, what do you think that guy tells girls that he does when, like, and this is offensive. It's obviously fine if you're the window worker at Chick-fil-A, but I was like, when he's trying to impress a girl, like, how does he, I said, because people always gussy up their jobs. My sister at 10 goes, I bet he tells him he's the telecommunications director for the distribution of commercial poultry.
Nice.
So that's that.
Yeah, right.
And that's really good. So yeah, she's married to a boatman. And she had a cold when they first met, so they kind of just were like, how you doing? She wasn't really feeling that good. It wasn't love at first sight. It was love at second sight. The second time that they meet, he sees her and
her
he's
nose
like,
wasn't all red and she wasn't sneezing all over the place.
He's like, oh, she kind of hit.
But she did hit harder.
So regardless of her being married, he is just like head over heels. He's like, this independent woman, she is awesome. No one's I must have her. Well, of course, none of this hit for the king and queen or anyone in the royal family, but they also just thought it was a phase. They're like, all right, he's out gallivanting around, banging women, and this American floozy, like, he'll get it out of his system, and, no big deal. But then, like, right around this time, his dad, George V, dies. And it's like, oh, shit.
Now it's a problem.
Like, now it's a pretty big problem. It's time for him to step up to the plate. The first thing Edward does is break tradition by watching the proclamation of his accession with Wallace by his side. And everybody's like, dude, everybody's looking. Like, whoever's with you right now, that's your girl. You can't have this be, your girl. At this time, he's got no interest in governing whatsoever. He's like, I don't give a fuck that y'all want me to be the king. That's fine, but she's going to be my queen, And
can they ascend to the throne, like, as single people? Like, can you be unmarried and take the throne?
What happens most of the time, and I think it happened with them, it's called a morganatic marriage, And a morganatic marriage, I'm pronouncing it wrong. A morganatic marriage is where they're like, okay, all right, you can marry this person, but she doesn't get any of your titles. And your kids will not be royal. So it's almost essentially the same thing where it's like, she's not a queen. You can have her, but she's not a queen.
She's the king's woman,
right? But
not the queen. So
he basically is like, look, I'm going to be with this lady. I don't care what y'all want. The problem is that, well, first off, the problem is that she's married. She's literally still married.
Mm-hmm.
But they asked the boat salesman. He was like, oh, it's fun, whatever. Like, he was just like, what are you going to do? I mean, he's the king.
Right.
Like, that's just...
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Let the king do whatever. So that's all well and good, but the church...
It's funny because it's like, we've talked a lot before about all the romantic comedies and stuff. There's always that one character. There's that dude...
His only crime.
There's that dude who's like framed as an antagonist, but literally the only thing he does wrong is not be the main guy.
Yep.
Like James Marsden in The Notebook.
Yeah,
and
Bill Pullman in Sleepless in Seattle.
Like, there's tons of... James Marsden's been that guy multiple times. He was that guy
and it's
as
so wild.
Cyclops.
And it's so wild because, like, Bill Pullman, it's like, yeah, Bill Pullman's a handsome man or whatever.
Yeah.
But James Marsden is like otherworldly
He's
hot.
an odd choice for that.
He's an odd choice to be like, not this guy.
Right.
And hell, in The Notebook, he's like a war hero.
Yeah.
You know, like...
That's what I'm saying. He hits real hard in that movie, but it's like, he ain't it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I would
digress.
like a spin-off where everybody finds out how much harder he hit after he left that dumb bitch.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But anyway, this boatman, he was that.
So he was like, that's totally fine. And that's
all.
all.
That's fine. I got plenty of water business to tend to.
Don't worry about it.
Water business is booming, bitch.
And I'm sure...
Don't you worry about me.
I'm sure that, like, now that, you know, like, he's in the public spotlight of, like, my wife is banging the king, like, he probably is currying favor with some pretty hot women. Like, they want to be with this guy, the man behind the woman behind the man or whatever. So that's all well and good, but the church, as always, is very less forgiving, and they're just not going to marry a divorcee while still living with her husband to the goddamn King of England. Like, they're just like, we're not, because the church...
A lot of times all this, like, shit like this, I'm always like, I'll get over yourself,
I know.
for fuck's sake. But, like, with this one, even I'm kind of like...
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Even I'm kind of like, of course they're not going to do that, bro. Like... You really thought? I mean, I guess if you the king, though,
right?
You're like, well, shit.
You
Henry,
think the king can just do whatever he wants?
Well, he tell the church, you know, the only reason you exist is because fucking Henry VIII told the Pope to fuck off.
Right.
So I can't tell y'all to fuck off.
Right.
I'm like a whole nother different church now that loves whores.
Right. So that
fucking whore loving church. Why not?
I think
I'm
that's
the king.
Methodist.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he could have just outright married her, but it would have been in a civil ceremony, and it would have been like anointed by the church, which really, which really screws up his whole deal, because as king, he is also the head of the church.
Right.
Like, that's his thing. And they're like, well, you can't just be doing this. So they do finally acquiesce. That's right. It
is.
They finally acquiesce and give, I didn't have that written down, but it came to me and I was like, I think this is the right word. They finally acquiesce and give her a divorce. But the Prime Minister, Stanley Baldwin, who I don't really know shit about, I don't even know if he was in the Crown, which means that I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Lets Edward know that him marrying this American lady, it's not going to be supported by the British government or the British people, which is a hell of a thing for him to be like, the people ain't going to like this. Because to me, I would think the people would be like, yeah, right on. Fuck that American lady. Like, this makes him more common or something. I don't know why the people give a shit.
I know, but I feel like a lot of people, at least, especially back then,
they need the nobility.
And they need them to be better
perfect,
or whatever. Like, that's part of it for them.
Right.
Like, no, my fucking Uncle Niles fucks whores. The king can't be fucking whores.
That's so true, because I think about it all the time when they're like, you want the president to be somebody you can have a beer with, and I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, right.
I want the president to be very
boring. To be drunk.
I want the president to be
He's got nukes and shit.
I want the president to be a very boring, not fun hang who knows a lot of math.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have a beer with that fucking guy.
Fucking nerd.
Like, I agree that, like, President Bush definitely seems like a guy that you could have a beer with, but that's not all the dudes I have beer with. I'm like, I wouldn't even let you run my house. You know what I mean? So not only that, they let him know that basically Parliament's not going to that Parliament is going to let him know who he's allowed to marry. Like, he basically tells them, like, look, Parliament will find you a woman. And this did not hit for him. He's like, I love this woman, and I'll be goddamned if I'm the king of England and y'all are gonna arrange a marriage for me. You can suck my fucking dick. So
direct quote.
Yeah. Direct quote. You can suck my fucking dick.
Yeah.
Edward proposed. Oh, it is in here. Edward proposed a morganatic marriage in which Simpson would not receive a royal title, but this was rejected. So was Edward's request to make his case to his subjects by way of radio address. He wanted to like go to the people and be like, "Listen, I want to marry this woman. She sucketh my penis so well. Please."
Are there tapes of this? Is this how this dude talks?
That's how he talks in The Crown.
Okay, all right. I've seen The Crown, but I remember this whole story, but I can't remember like how he talks.
I'm going from one scene. I'm going from one scene where he's laying in bed with her, and he looks down at his wiener, and it's clearly hard, and he rolls over and goes, "Shall we fuck?" And so I'm taking all of my accent based on those two lines. So with no compromise in sight, Edward told the prime minister, "Fuck this, suck my dick. I'm abdicating." And so he abdicates. And to close, here is the letter of abdication of Edward VIII, 1936. Instrument of abdication, 10th December 1936. Edward VIII became king. Following the death of his father, George V, he abdicated the throne in order to marry divorcee Wallis Simpson and became known as the Duke of Windsor instead. Fort Belvedere is a house situated in Windsor Great Park in Surrey, where Edward lived as Prince of Wales. The instrument of abdication was witnessed and signed by his younger brothers, Prince Albert, Duke of York, Prince Henry, Duke of Gloucestershire. Gloucestershire? That's how you say that?
Either that
or Gloucester, and Prince George, Duke of Kent. And here's the transcript of his abdication. I, Edward VIII of Great Britain, Ireland, and of the British dominions beyond the seas, King, Emperor of India, do hereby declare my irrevocable determination to renounce the throne for myself and for my descendants, and my desire that effect should be to this instrument of abdication immediately, in token whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 10th day of December, 1936, in the presence of the witnesses whose signatures are subscribed, Albert, Henry, and George. And so, yeah, he abdicates, and that's it. His brother now has to be the king, who was never prepared for this. And if you saw The Crown, they dramatized that really well. Also, the King's Speech dramatizes this really well. He was not someone who was set up for public life. He didn't want to do it. And then he is all but, I'm not going to say he wasn't banished, because
he was ostracized.
He was ostracized a little bit. Like, he still had a great life.
Right. He had money and all that
everything.
Shit. I mean, honestly,
that's what's up. No, dude, I think the only thing that...
Is Harry hooked up that same way? He still got access to all the royal monies?
I think so. But, the thing with him...
Because,
from what I read and I see, it's it was not a money thing. His life was monetarily fine. He didn't need none of that shit. It was that, his family basically was like, okay, well, if you're not going to be the king, then you're not even our family anymore. And so, him and Elizabeth, that was her uncle.
Right.
And, when she was a kid, that was her favorite uncle. He's the one that gave her the nickname Lilibet. And they show in the show, they try to have a relationship, and they clearly still love each other. But, the Queen Mother and all of them are like, what do you do? He can't be here. And it's that's my fucking uncle. And they're like, he's a fucking traitor. He didn't want to be just all because he wanted to love this woman. And it's they've got a king now. It's fine. Hell, the only reason Elizabeth is the goddamn queen is because of this shit.
Really, he ought to fucked kids or whatever, like Andrew.
And they'd keep him around.
Yeah,
that
would 100%. That'd be fine.
But
no, can't go fucking marry a divorced American floozy. Yeah, no, it's just wild to think about, the royal family, as all of us have known them our entire lives and for the better part of a fucking century now,
is because
none of them would have been any of that if he hadn't done that. Everybody just it's Queen Elizabeth, she the queen. Of course she is. Fucking Charles, Prince, and William and all them, and they're the royal family that everybody's all obsessed with, but really none of them was ever supposed to be there.
No, there would have been a king because Edward had sons or whatever. He would have been the king, and then they'd have a king right now.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, obviously, she would be there.
Right.
But
nobody would really know much about her or
No.
fuck with her. She'd just be like, you know, the fucking
the
royal
Duchess
first
of
cousin.
She'd be
or
the
whatever.
Duchess of York or some shit like that. So yeah, I mean, if Elizabeth and Philip really enjoyed their life as royals, they should love this fucking guy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, that was his abdication. It was
and it's also wild to think about like all of that as it pertains to Wallace Simpson.
I know.
Like
she
that
did all
one
that.
lady, that one woman,
divorcee of a boat
led
salesman.
to all of that ripple effect shit
Yeah.
that affected the cultural face of the Western world irrevocably for 65 years just with her
pussy.
I
mean, if you don't think a butterfly
it's fucking wild, man.
Butterfly flaps its lips, but yeah, so I'm just saying,
too many pussies could stack up to that, dude.
No,
that's like some Helen of Troy shit.
Yep. But like that is correct. Like, you know, everybody's always like, oh, everything happens for a reason. Oh, if you go back in time and you do one thing, it's going to change this. And you're like, well, maybe not. But that literally, he meets her at a party. If he never meets her at a party, there's a king of England right now, and you don't fucking the second Elizabethan age is never a goddamn thing. Princess Diana is never a thing. Elton John doesn't write that song.
She might not have died because she might not ever married Charles. She'd just be some lady, you know, in England who's real pretty and hits for people. But
I mean, Harry and Meghan. That's right. All of these things are just
fucking wild.
The way and like the Queen of England is such a cultural thing. Like none of the world literally would be insanely different if he doesn't meet her at a party.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and so that's what I got on the abdication of.
Well,
the fried butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Listen, do you guys want to hear what this guy actually sounds like? If he sounds like Corey.
Sure.
Almost 5 years.
5 years.
Well, yeah, he's older now, so his voice don't sound as high.
You're right. I was nailing. It's 35.
Pull him up from the Crown.
Well, yeah, but that's not. But I mean,
that's what I was going on. That guy was basing it on.
I know. I don't know if we ought to watch a clip from The Crown.
She's got a little accent now.
Yeah.
That's that kind of that mid-Atlantic accent that the actresses have, like Katharine Hepburn and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing that I don't know if fits this show, but I'd like to talk about.
I think it could be a subject for me. It's not a
that
diagram
faux
thing, but it definitely suits the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I might put that on the list.
Well, hey.
Tell them what to do.
I'll tell you what you need to do is if you're watching the show on YouTube, that's great. I hope you're subscribed. If you could also please go to wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to the podcast and leave us a 5-star review, write a little review there. That would be awesome. It takes you 2 seconds to do, and it helps the show immensely. It helps us stay in that iTunes top 100 and stuff, which really helps the show. We appreciate you. And if you have any questions, comments, if we got anything wrong, as always, send them to puttinonairs@gmail.com. And now enjoy this, Clearing the Airs.
That's right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cut, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at Puttin On Airs. Puttin On Airs. Puttin On Airs. Puttin On Airs.
Well, here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Time
Hey,
to clear
Trae.
the air.
I hope y'all enjoyed that episode. I sure enjoyed recording it myself.
Yeah, and re-listening to it. I went back. I'm sure somebody's going to point this out, but this week I don't recall having any moments where present me was listening and got angry at past me for being a dumbass. That happens almost every week. I might have just not been paying enough attention, but I didn't notice any this week. However, I did want to clear the air about last week's Clearing the Airs. I guess.
Are we going to have to start a separate podcast?
Yeah, right. Yeah, just to it's clearing shit up all the way down. So last week in Clearing the Airs, you pointed out, you were like, we got into that whole thing about illegitimate child, and is that the thing you're supposed to say? And you're like, why isn't there a word for the opposite of that, right? Like, like, is it just legitimate child? What's the word for just not illegitimate? And we went through that whole thing, and you said we got tons of comments from people that are like, are they trying to say biological child, which we never said, right?
Right.
And you were like, so, we're idiots. And when you said that, I was like, yeah, we are idiots. Well, when the episode came out, my wife, who, to my unending surprise, still
I know what you're going to say,
listens to this show, right? Like, she'll never, ever do that. She don't even, when I'm on the road, she has no idea where I'm at, what city I'm in, nothing. She never knows anything about what I'm doing, which is fine. But she listens to this show, and so she listened to it when it came out, and she said to me, she was like, that doesn't make any sense either.
Right.
Sorry to all you commenters, but I do believe my wife is correct.
No, she is. She is.
Because she was like, biological has nothing to do with being
legitimacy.
Illegitimate or with legitimacy. She was like, you can be a biological child of someone and your parents are married. You could be a biological child of someone and your parents are not married, so you're an illegitimate.
Everyone's biological to something.
All that means is that you biologically came from those two people, whether they're married or not. It's completely irrelevant to that discussion, and then the alternative to that is like, adopted child or whatever, or stepchild or something like that. But yeah, it's biological.
The word we were looking for was legitimate.
I guess, but I don't never hear anybody say that.
Right. Well, because it's just, why would you? You don't have to point that out. Right. No one would ever just go, this is my legitimate child. Yeah.
That's the default. And if you have to point out for some reason the alternative, then you say illegitimate. But anyway, so all you smart ass commenters got in a little hive mind situation, got on a roll tearing into us. My wife pointed out, and I agree with her, that you don't know shit. So
no, you don't know shit. You're legitimately stupid. Yeah, for sure. I had several moments this week that I was like, where it passed me was making me mad, but every single instant within 30 to 45 seconds, one of us on the podcast actually corrected it. And I kept, because I was making all these notes.
Always nice when that happens.
And then I kept,
because like
it's great.
That happens a lot too, where like you'll have that moment and you're like, God damn it, what are we doing? I know that's not right. But then one of past us will correct it or get it right or whatever, and you're always like, oh, thank God. But that don't always happen that way.
No,
sometimes we just let it ride.
My first one was, we were talking about Instagram thoughts and whatnot, and people who were just like wanting to get famous for their butt and stuff like that. And I did the whole thing of like, I want to be famous for my work, something I create, something I can be proud of. I don't want to be famous just for the sake of being famous. And then as I'm listening to that, I started thinking about it, and in my present me brain, I was like, well, man, I mean, here's the deal. People who post their butts on the internet are bringing joy to millions of people. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do, is bring joy to millions of people. So how is it different? And then as soon as I said that, past me in the podcast was just like, I mean, hell, I guess it hits if your butt hits to put it on the internet. Why would I, why would I look down on these people? So that was fine. And we also talked about how Edward VIII had actually been to war, and you brought up, you were like, well, I mean, I think Elizabeth went to war too, and I was like, no, but he fit. We were saying fit for fight in this episode,
we were.
And I was like, you were like, you mean he fit? And I was like, he did fit, and you were like, fit hits, and I was like, fit does hit. He fit. And
I remember that.
And then we were, and then we were like, wait. Harry and William, they went over there like during Operation Iraqi Freedom, right? And I was like, yeah, but they didn't fit. And you were like, didn't fit? And I was like, no, you said don't hit. And I said, okay. And but then I was like, no, I think they might have fit. And then you mentioned that Harry was a helicopter pilot, and I've since learned that Harry tried to politic his way into getting onto the front lines because he wanted to do that, and it almost went to fruition. Like, he was going to go, and then, the Queen found out about it, and then she sent, a militia of people to, take him against his, you're not fucking doing this. So, he didn't fit, but he nearly fit. He trod to.
He tried to fit, yeah.
He tried to fit, yeah. Oh, another thing that I went back and looked up, we were talking about knights, and you mentioned something about, has WWF or WCW or whatever ever had a knight character? And I said, to my knowledge, they have not. And when I heard myself say that, I was like, okay, surely to fucking God, they have. And I looked it up, buddy, and the most surprised I've probably ever been in my life, couldn't find a single medieval knight wrestler character. Now, it's not to say that it didn't exist on the indies or something, but again, unless I just don't know how to use Google, no major promotion has ever had a medieval knight character.
Yeah, I find that wild. I definitely, as goofy as they used to fucking get all the time, I mean, I can't believe that shit.
The only reason I can think that they didn't is because one time they actually had RoboCop. Like, they were doing a cross-promotion thing with RoboCop, and so RoboCop was going to come wrestle. Well, what ended up happening was the dude gets in the ring, and he can't move because he's in a RoboCop outfit. Of course not. Yeah. Yeah, he's in a RoboCop outfit. Now, you could argue that Buff Bagwell wore the chainmail when he was the big bad booty daddy, but it's a little bit different. It wasn't a full-bore night. I think that probably what happened is it was probably pitched, and they were like, well, number one, we can't have a horse. Number two, we can't really give him a sword, because then he could just come in there and cut the dude's head off, and we can't have that. And number two, if we've got him dressed up like a knight, he's not going to be able to move. So that's my logic on that.
I feel like there's a version of it, though, where it's like fake chainmail on the head and like a tunic or whatever that you can still move in. And he comes out with a sword and shield, but he throws them down before wrestling, and he just talks all night-like and shit. I'm not saying that it's like a fucking chart topper or surefire hit. I'm still just kind of surprised they never tried it.
Well,
just because of how wild they be.
If we were just going to do with like a regal character like that, Triple H's first character. Do you remember when he was actually Hunter Hearst Helmsley? The reason that his name was Hunter Hearst Helmsley is because he was like a blue blood erudite, And he like wore the robes, and he very much like walked with the charisma of the main villain in The Patriot. You know what I mean? That very very on the nose up type shit. So I mean, they've danced around with stuff like that, but no actual medieval knight. Do you have any other corrections?
No, I don't think so. Again, somebody will point them out for me, I guess. But
well, then I say we should just go ahead and get to the airmail. What do you say?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
There we go. Let's see. We have from Liz French, I believe long-time, many-time caller here, Liz French. She says, idea for episode. If you were rich in Victorian times, some families used to pay to have a homeless person living on their land in the gardens or under bridges, and they would pay them after several years of them being there. It hits for them to have a fucking homeless person living in their land, and they would introduce them to all their friends at parties as a flex. I would love to hear about this on the podcast, which that sounds like, remember that Steve Carell movie with Paul Rudd, Dinner for Schmucks?
Yeah.
It seems like, so that might be something.
What they got, like a pet bum?
Yeah, pet bum, I believe. That's
why. But what? How's that a flex? How does that hit? I feel like Victorian England was fucking lousy with bums.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, why does it hit to have like? Did they try to get the hittingest bum?
That like actually makes sense.
Make him drink and fart and stuff.
I bet he geeked.
A jester bum. Yeah. Geek shit or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, because like just owning a person.
No, we should look into that, because I'm intrigued for sure.
I too am intrigued, and thank
you
so
much. But also, no, it ain't. It's not really slaves, because she said they pay them just to be a bum.
That's true.
So it's like, it's like a sideshow act.
Yeah, right.
Type thing.
Yeah, but I don't see how that's a flex. You're right, unless like you're making them throw stuff.
But I mean, they was wild.
They was
wild back then. Fucking a lot of things was flexes that seemed goofy.
For sure. This is from Ashley. How would you say PFEIL? Feel?
PFE. Feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I would attempt to say it. I'm going to make a note of that pet bum thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, please do. This is from Ashley feel. The subject line is King George III. Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time writer, had to point this one out. And then she's doing this is us talking. Corey, this is me saying it. Wait, hold on. This says the third longest reign in British history. Motherfucker, you said the first. 20 minutes before that, you yourself made it a point to explain to us that he was the longest reigning king, but Queen Elizabeth's and Queen Victoria's reigns were longer. Love you guys like chicken. So within the episode, I confused myself.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised by either the fact that like I didn't like notice that at all. I did. It was one of those things where that was one. When I listened to it, I was like, when I went back and re-listened to it, I was like,
how are we so stupid?
I was like, I thought he knew this. And I was thinking that because we were just recently in England for the Jubilee. Right. And while we were over there, you were talking about the length of her reign and how it ranked and all this shit. But yeah, I know that we recorded this before we went and did that, but still I was listening to it thinking like, I don't know why I thought Corey knew about that.
Well, as we've pointed out though a lot, us knowing something isn't necessarily a requirement for us then later not knowing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like our brains, like my brain is not, it's like a sponge, but there's holes in it. It's like an old sponge.
Yeah. I mean, I truly astonish myself sometimes with the things that I know, but seem to not know.
Don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The subject line, this is from Phoenix Hauser, many-time writer as well. Subject line, boobs and balls. Now, I got to tell you, I don't know what they're even talking about here, so maybe you can help me. I'm just going to read it. Boobs and balls. A girl I went to school with had tits so big at age 14 that they actually broke one of her ribs. Shoo. She had to have a breast reduction in her first year of high school, which caught her 7,000 kinds of hell. Also, as a person who is only interested in women these days, dudes buying me drinks at a bar is not a plus. I still love you even when you're wrong, Corey, my lad. What in God's name was I on about?
I mean, I don't remember, but like it sounds to me like you made some kind of comment about
big titties hitting.
I mean, I'm sure that's happened, but also that, yeah, I guess that. But the second part sounded like maybe you had brought up the whole like, you know, they get drinks bought for them thing.
Right.
But I don't ever remember. I don't remember that at all. But that don't mean it didn't happen.
No, I don't. And me either. But I
mean,
I
that's
just
my
thought the
best
email.
guess.
I just like the email was funny enough on its own. So this is subject line: Bogans, weebs, and racism from Michael Cole, Australian. I can tell from the "Good day, gents" right at the beginning.
Also the Bogans and all that.
Oh yeah, well, actually, I'm a corn-fed Iowa boy who has lived in Australia for the past 20 years and love your podcast. Appreciate you. I initially discovered Corey from his part in Old Gods of Appalachia podcast. Pretty sweet, shout out. And have been following both of y'all since on the various forms of social media. Love to see y'all come down to Oz and do some shows. I reckon you'd hit with us Aussies. We have our own rednecks down here that we call Bogans. Just like not being careful around our animals can get you killed, it's the same with our version of rednecks. Walking around Wyong, W-Y-O-N-G, Wyong, you think?
I guess. I mean, I don't
walking
have
around,
a better... You know,
walking around Wyong at 2 a.m. after a night of drinking is probably more dangerous than driving into a croc-infested river wearing a steak-flavored swimsuit, in that at least the crocodile isn't out of his head on ice, which is what we call crystal meth, us too, and looking to get their stab on for your cigarettes. But I digress. In your Gambling in King George III episode, y'all were speaking about weebs and how Japanese culture hits for them, but you're not sure how they feel about the Jews and other ethnicities. Weebs, originally called weebos, originally a derogatory term used on forums like 4chan for people obsessed with Japanese culture like anime, video games, J-pop bands, and so forth. The fact it came from 4chan should give you an idea of where this is heading. It sure does. It can most certainly be racist towards other groups, just like any other fan base that has its share of toxic members. There's a staggering number of weebs who believe in batshit insane conspiracy theories like Great Replacement, QAnon, and the Illuminati, all of which to say that the Western world's problems are, of course, the Jews. It also doesn't help that foreigners still don't hit in Japan. They're just subtler about it than white folks. A mate of mine has been in Japan for 20 years and still has about the same rights as a house pet. That racism tends to bleed into the weebs who take things too far and want to emulate everything about the Japanese way of life. And most of them don't understand the subtlety thing. Anyways, please keep hitting, and if you ever come down to Australia, look me up. First shot's on me, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that all checks out. The thing about Japan, that's wild, living there for 20 years and still being a house pet or whatever.
No, I know.
That ain't it.
Let's end with this one.
Japan do kind of just get to be that way.
They
you know
do,
what I mean?
man. Yep, I agree with you.
Like they're famously super like insulated and isolationist and all that stuff, and like outsiders don't care for them and all that.
Your daughter can't marry anybody but a Japanese dude.
But that feels like that's the same thing as saying, or I don't know how that's not xenophobic, which is the bad way of saying that. But when people talk about Japan, they don't say xenophobic. Dude. They say shit like I just said, like isolationist and whatever else. But it's like I don't really understand how it's. I kind of feel like,
buddy,
I don't. Forgive me, but I just sort of feel like Japan gets away with some shit.
Dude, I was watching a movie the other day, or a TV show or something, and it was a Japanese family, and they were talking about their daughter dating somebody else, and but they weren't portraying it as the parents were being insane xenophobic people. Everybody, and even everybody around them was just like, yeah, that's just their culture. They're a very together type people. And it was just like, they just passed over it. And I was like, not to be this guy, but if that same motherfucking scenario happened in Joe Dirt or whatever, it would not be, that's just their culture. They're just a very together people. But that's very much how it's treated over there. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Well, let's end on something that's not racist. Wanker. Sure. This is Megan Snyder Gordon. Wanker idea you've probably read 1,000 times. Hey there, if you're going to do that wanker idea, do you remember what we're talking about?
No.
We're going to do like wanker of the week.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that was the thing we were floating. If you're going to do that wanker idea, you could call it the wank air to keep it in line with your other segment names. I like that. Thanks for the show. It's so funny to listen to your suspect facts and dubious synthesis. It must be like listening to me explain anything. Go fuck yourself. I only say that because as many times as you ask us to write you that, I feel like you're just looking for permission to be a wanker. Megan. I have no ideas if my names match on this email. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. I like that little running joke. Thank you, Megan. Thank you to everybody who sent us a letter this week at puttingonairs@gmail.com. If you would like yours read, that's all you got to do is send it. Again, you can send us corrections, criticism, love letters, links to things you want us to see, or just tell us to go fuck ourselves. Thank you all for listening to the show. Download, subscribe, tell all your friends, leave us a 5-star review if you haven't. Takes you 2 seconds, really means the world to us. And if you're not watching the show, remember you can watch it at watchpoa.com. Trae, last thoughts?
No, we're gonna stay dumb and keep saying dumb stuff and having dubious facts and all that, and we hope y'all stick around for it.
Yep, it's more great things to come. We're about to hit the studio within the next couple weeks or whatever, and I can't wait to get the new batch episodes out to you. And thank you all for listening, sharing with your friends. Love you, and stay classy, motherfuckers.
Yeah, you.